Pelusi, the owner of Marco Pelusi Hair Studio in West Hollywood. He is such a delight. I'm so thrilled to have you joining us. Welcome.
Thank you. Grazie, grazie. Prego, prego.
There you go. Thanks so much. You're always so delightful, right? We've spoken quite a few times off camera, right? And that's
Yes.
one thing that I've thought about you each time. I thought, gosh, he's really always such a grateful, pleasant person to work with. No wonder why you've become such a success in what you do.
Thank you,
So
Deborah.
thanks
Thank
for being.
you.
Yeah, what I always like to do with my guests is start way back, right? You are from Pittsburgh. I love a guy from Pittsburgh who made his way to West Hollywood. You got to love that. And you
Yes.
come from a long line of people who do hair. Let's go back to Pittsburgh and let's say hi to your dad and uncle and everybody else while we're at it.
Yes. Thank you, Deborah. Yeah, I was blessed. I grew up in a family-run chain of hair salons. They started in the 60s. These guys are not young anymore, my dad and my uncle, but they're still at it. They have a chain of 12 salons in Pittsburgh. Everyone's Italian. My mother, my father, on both sides, 100%. There's a lot of Italians from the Northeast, but specifically for some reason in Pittsburgh. At one point, it had the highest population of Italian Americans next to New York. And a lot
Wow.
of hair people in Pittsburgh for some reason, and a hair color company from Milano based in Pittsburgh. And so when I was young and I worked with my family's company, I worked in-house with them. And I really fell in love with the process of how hair color works from a chemical standpoint and from a beauty standpoint, and how it makes a woman or a man look good. And I learned from the Italians. I learned from my family on essentially how to cut hair. But then I also learned from this Italian color company not only how to color hair, but how to teach hair color as well. So I traveled with this Italian brand, working with these Italians at a really young age. And that's what really essentially brought me to LA as a hair color trainer for this Italian brand. That was initially what brought me out this way many moons ago.
I have to ask this. Is Italian hair different than other hair? Because I know my hair, I'm actually not a natural blonde. I'm sorry, everybody, to spring it on you, but I'm not. And it's not so easy to go lighter, right? Because I have darker hair. It'll pick up orange, which is fine for those who want to have oranger hair, but I did not. It's really tough. And my hair can be thicker and a little coarser. And
Yes.
I'm like, gosh, I should either just go with it or I end up, tell us about, Italian hair. Is it harder to manage, if you will?
100%. The hair color level system in Italy is different than the hair color system in the US. And sometimes when someone is using an Italian hair color brand in the US, we have to alter our formulas to match the hair. So for example, there's more darker haired people in Italy. It is true that there are some blondes and some redheads as you get towards the north, but generally speaking, Italian hair and a lot of European hair in general, but especially Italian hair, is thicker. It's typically more resistant. These aren't bad problems. They're sometimes nice challenges. But when you lift from darker hair, if you're Italian, you're going to pull red, you're going to pull orange, and we do have to accommodate for that.
Yeah, and I guess no better person than you who grew up with it, And not
Yes.
everybody really knows how to do that quite right. And I would assume someone like you who grew up in the business, and as you said, you worked with an Italian brand, you really learned how to finesse that, right?
Absolutely. And the Italians really take care with, and I'll say we take good care with our color on how to maintain the quality and the integrity of the hair without sacrificing that when coloring. And I think that's a big thing for the Italians. And I loved learning that. And then even combating the orange and all that, it's real easy to do if you know how to color hair. And a lot of it just has to do, for any of you artists out there, with painting, it's similar like red, yellow, and blue. If you know what colors complement or counteract each other, that's the same principle when you apply it to hair color.
Mm. I want to go back a little bit to Dad and your uncle and all the salons back east. Tell me what it was like when you said to them, because I know what it's like, the big Italian family, or working with them, when you went to them and said, I think I want to go west. What was that like?
Deborah, my mother, God rest her soul, a couple times when I got on the plane to come back here when I first moved here, she says, you're ripping a piece of my heart out. I mean, very Italian. I mean, she wanted nothing but the best and encouraged me in every single possible way. I think that's definitely an Italian mom trait. but still the separation was so hard. I was homesick for 7 years. And my dad even said, oh, a lot of people go out to LA and who knows what happens to them out there, you know, and it was very challenging for them to let me have my wings. But once they saw, wow, this guy's really going to be doing something on his own and still carrying on a little bit of the family legacy. And I sort of found my own voice here in LA. For a while, I thought I was kind of like and I think I am like a weird mishmash of both coasts. I'm like this Northeastern Italian guy with a strong personality, but then I'm kind of like, I've been out here for 20 years. I'm kind of like this chill LA person now too, you know? So it's like, I'm sort of a combination of the both coasts.
Yeah. But in the true Italian way, don't you talk to dad almost every single day on the phone? I love that. I talked to my parents every day. I don't know what it is about that generation,
yes.
Right? It's like there's such a connection. It's hard to break it apart, right? I don't have the same with my own kids. They don't really call all that often.
Right.
But I know that with me and my parents, it was every day, right?
I talk to my dad all the time, and I just check in with him, and it means the world to me. It kind of tears me up a little bit. We're planning a trip to Italy actually this fall too, and we're so excited now that, you know, he kind of feels safer because, you know, he's a senior citizen, of course, and it's like a matter of feeling safe to go back to Italy because we have family that we want to visit, and we haven't been there since before COVID, and so we're really excited about getting back.
Where's the family from in Italy?
My dad has family in Abruzzi and Calabria, but the ones we stay in contact with the most are his family near Rome. So Roma, so we get to go back to Rome, and we have a cousin named Jo, and she's fabulous, and she's fluent in Italian, so she always travels with us. And when we go back, we have Jo. I want to learn more Italian too. I know some of it, but Jo's great because she's there, and we all just had these wonderful times together, and I can't wait to get back.
With what you do, because you obviously are very successful, and I want to also get into some of the, you know, more well-known celeb clients you have, because that's always a little fun. But with what you do, how would you sort of credit your Italian upbringing, your Italian family for all that they imparted on you in terms of hard work and all that?
I think first of all, my profession in Italy is respected. I feel like the Italian hair color people, the Italian hairstylists, it's viewed as an art of hairdressing. And I think that has translated into the US because let's face it, I know we're a little bit partial, but when you hear that a hairdresser is an Italian man, you kind of trust him or her because you just know that there's an artistry with and associated with being Italian. And I feel like the emotional side of being Italian, because I am an emotional guy, and that sensitivity connects me to people. And one of my celebrity clients, Carol Alt, who is a supermodel and an actress, she has spent years and years. She became famous more as an actress. She's not famous as an actress here as much in Italy. And she always likes coming to me because she knows that I want to make her look beautiful. And that's how I view my art. It's like I want to help people and I want to connect with them and I want it to be an artistry standpoint. And I think that's what makes me, as an Italian, different than maybe going to another hairdresser who views it more from the business standpoint. That doesn't mean that we can't be still successful as business people as well, but it comes more from the heart. And as far as my success level and my confidence level, 100% comes from my mother, who gave me a sense of confidence. It doesn't matter what situation I'm going to be in or encounter in my entire life. I carry that sense of confidence and success from her. And she gave that to her only son.
Yeah, I grew up just sort of admiring Carol Alt. She is stunning. Now that I know that you do her hair, well, gosh, no wonder. She's someone I would actually love to interview because isn't she also behind the raw food movement, right, back in the day?
Deborah, yes, and I would love to introduce you to her.
Oh no, she's really lovely, and actually, her hair always looks so stunning. So I'm not going to ask for the secrets on camera, but go ahead.
It's not extensions. A lot of times, I'll do her hair periodically, and we'll photograph, and people will say, "Oh, look at the extensions," and I say, "No, that's just Carol's hair." So
yeah, wow, and also I believe you work with James Brolin, right? Wasn't he recently on the cover of Malibu magazine or something like that? His hair looked fabulous,
Thank you.
So And now that's really different, right? Because he's a male, shorter hair, he's grayish, but he had some beautiful tones in there. So the fact
Thank
that
you.
you could do someone like a Carol Alt with her hair that is darker and maybe she has a little gray in it, I don't know. And then now you do a gentleman's hair and it looks so fabulous. I mean, wonderful
Thank
work.
you. I appreciate that, Deborah, because I do a lot of men who are of a certain age to blend gray. And a lot of
Yeah.
Italian guys get to this point where they want to look salt and peppery, because if you put black hair color on an older guy or an Italian guy, it looks horrible. So I work really hard to be delicate. And again, just like you said, just blend a few grays away. Actually, James Brolin is in New York right now getting interviewed for different press surrounding a movie premiere. So
Yeah,
yeah.
gosh, have you ever done his wife and by that, you know, her hair, or have you ever met her? I mean, my gosh.
Yes, I have met her. I have had the pleasure of having dinner with her a few times, and I went backstage
Oh,
when she performed her last performance in LA at the Staples Center. We were invited to her dress rehearsal, and it was the most amazing experience of my life because I'm a huge fan. I do not do her hair. She's had the same hairdresser for 30 years, but I think she's a wonderful woman, and I have the utmost respect for that voice. And that evening that we went backstage with Jim, we call him Jim, and we hung out with Barbra when all the celebrities came in to greet her. That was a once in a lifetime kind of thing.
yeah. And for those who might not know, we're talking Barbra Streisand. And
Yeah.
the fact that you were invited backstage, I mean, it's tough to get invited backstage. You've got to be like super duper on their A list. So that says something about your work. I'll tell you that, and about you. So,
Deborah, thank you. I
yeah.
appreciate that. I got to tell you, she handed me a bouquet of flowers that she had in her dressing room at the end of the night, and they sat
What?
in the salon on the front desk until they died. It's like, how many times do you go to a concert with Streisand and she gives you flowers? I mean, she's really a wonderful person. She really is.
You know what I would have done? Remember, like back in the day when you went to a prom, you pressed the flowers, and oh my gosh, okay, wait. I remember we pressed the flowers, and the heaviest book we had at the time in my Italian household was the Bible. So we pressed my flowers and put it in the Bible. Oh my gosh! Next time she ever gives you flowers, you got to press them and just say,
that. Yeah, see, I needed my mother's touch for that. I needed a woman's touch. She would have helped me. Yeah.
oh my gosh. So tell me a little bit about what you do in your personal time and how people can get in touch with you at your salon. Oh, and do you make house calls? That's what I wanted to ask too.
I will do a house call. I've done a few for a couple of celebrities over the years, and for anyone that's really requesting that, certainly. And I'm here on Robertson in West Hollywood, and you can just call me, or it's marcopelusi.com is my website. I have a wonderful line of hair care products for color treated hair. In my spare time when I'm not doing hair, I formulate hair products. I love that whole aspect of the business too, as I love making shampoo and conditioner and really assisting with keeping the hair in good condition after it's been colored. That's another passion of mine within my industry. And then when I'm not working at all, I love wine. I love a good dinner. I love a good night out at the theater. I have a partner. We've been together for 20 years. He's a talent manager and a producer, wonderful person. We travel, love doing travel. Europe, can't wait to get back to Europe. I mean, probably sober and have more wine and more food in Italy.
You know, I tell you, once they lifted the restrictions of coming back here into the U.S., because that's everything to me, because I've been very, very careful. And I don't want to get this thing, right? But coming back into the country, what if you catch it and then you're stuck there for 10 days? I thought, oh my gosh. I mean, obviously, if you catch it, you have to wait to come. But sometimes you still test positive when you're not, you have no symptoms. I'm like, oh my goodness. That sort of was the reason why I wasn't getting on a plane internationally. Now that I know we can do this, it's like, okay, where are we going? And my first place will be Italy, no doubt.
I could not agree more, 100%. I literally, I'm a true Italian. I jumped for joy and screamed when I heard that had been lifted, because that was my biggest worry, was it's not that I would be that sick, because hopefully you wouldn't at this point with vaccinations, but who wants to get stuck for an extra week?
No, and by the way, half the time you're like stuck in a room, which doesn't sound so awful depending upon where you are, but it can get kind of claustrophobic. So now that it's lifted, I'm all over it. What's on your bucket list, please? Tell me, and whose head would you love to do?
Oh my goodness, my bucket list would probably be Northern Europe. I haven't done Sweden, I haven't done Norway, and gosh, who would I love to? Brad Pitt. I've worked on a couple of his friends, but I've never worked on Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie. That would be fun. That crowd. I worked on George Clooney a couple of times. Not really. I don't see him that often anymore, but he's a wonderful man. But I'd love to see some of his friends. I'd love to meet Brad Pitt, do his hair, Angelina Jolie.
Okay, Brad, are you listening? I sat right behind him at the LA Opera. And in fact, he was still with Angelina. They were right in front of me. You know what surprised me about them? He's way taller than I thought he would be. I'm pretty tall. I'm 5'9". And he stood up, and I was surprised how tall he actually was. For some weird reason, he doesn't look as tall in, in pictures, but he's taller than I thought. So, that was my... Yeah, it was one of my only times running into him other than interviewing him. So I hope that happens for you. Any parting words that you'd love to tell our audience, please?
Yes, I just feel like it's so important, especially after COVID, just to honor our feelings, honor your dreams. Go after what it is you want, because we've seen over the last couple of years that life can be short. So let's just live for the day and try to be happy, not hold on to grudges, and go for it.
I love that. Try to be happy and not hold on to grudges. I have to say, in my family, a large Italian family, there was often a grudge or two, hanging around. And I'd be a little kid thinking, why are they upset? Because the tablecloth was the wrong color. I mean, it's always something like that. I love that, Marco. Let go of the grudges. Let go of the grudges. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing a little bit about your Italian heritage. And I'd like to give a shout out to your dad, to your uncle, to the entire family out in Pittsburgh, because I'm from back east too, and we're a certain breed, right? So thank you so much. Yeah, please visit Marco at his salon in West Hollywood. And thanks just for being here. And you can see our full show on YouTube, on Facebook, IGTV, and then we transfer it over into an audio version so you can listen to this podcast as well. Marco Pelusi, thank you so much. And everybody, absolutely. We'll see you next time. And I'll stop by because I could use some of those hair products. So I'll stop by the salon as well.
Yeah. I'd love it. Thanks, Deborah.
Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.